Hey guys, Cam from 15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back talking more Chicago Bears football. And we got, obviously, with today being Sunday, we got more breaking news in terms of the way of what is being reported from all these NFL insiders as to what the Bears are going to do with the head coaching search for the search of the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, Ian Rappaport essentially came out on NFL Network and basically talked about this and gave an update in terms of what the Bears search will be. And essentially, it seems from one, Ryan Poles' job is safe and he will probably be the GM for next offseason for the Bears, for the next season for the Bears. Makes sense. Now, the one interesting thing that Ian Rappaport ended up talking and saying in this whole statement is that for the search of the new head coach, it's actually not going to be led by Ryan Poles, you would think, right? It's actually going to be led by none other than Chicago Bears team president, Kevin Warren. And basically, Ian Rappaport said that the Bears are looking for a head coach that has the qualities of being a leader of men. Oh, Cam for 15. What do you take away from that statement and what do you think by that? Are you upset that they said, oh, it isn't, an offensive minded coach? Why is it that Kevin Warren is leading the search over Ryan Poles? The Bears are going to bungle this whole operation all over again. Now, obviously, we'll have to wait and see how the Bears do in this whole go around in terms of this whole hiring circle to try to find the head coach. But honestly, everything that I heard from Ian Rappaport today in terms of what he said, it makes complete sense. It makes 100% sense as to why the Bears want to hire a leader of men, and then why Kevin Warren is leading the search for the Bears in this hiring practice with Ryan Poles helping him. Let's get to obviously the head coaching hire, the phrase that they'll want to hire a leader of men. Ladies and gentlemen, the last four head coaches for the Chicago Bears were not leaders of men. Mark Trestman, John Fox, Matt Nagy, and Matt Eberflus are all not leaders of men. Now, maybe the one you can point out that is probably a good leader of men is probably John Fox. But listen, guys, John Fox was on his last legs in Chicago. He came off like, a health scare and everything. And realistically, this is probably just a retirement job paycheck that he was getting because he hasn't coached in the league since then. Mark Trestman, we already know the fallout that came out from then. You already had players in that Bears organization. I think like Lance Briggs was on the CHGO podcast, and he said like the first day Mark Trestman came in and he talked to us, I knew he wasn't the head coach, and I knew this was going to be a whole mess up. We already knew, and there was a lot of reports around that time that people said on record like, yeah, this dude is not it. He is not that good. And Mark Trestman, the way he handled the fallout in the 2 years of Bears head coach, it shows you he was not a leader of men. He was not. Because that whole operation blew up in his face and the man got fired in 2 years. Matt Nagy, he was good that 1 year, that first year. That first year, you can make the argument that was the 1 year he was actually a solid leader of men. I wouldn't say good or great. He was a solid leader of men because guess what? Any negative thoughts the Bears had, well, it was taken away because guess what? They were winning. Now they ultimately had a terrible ending, but you can tell that eventually over the course of the remaining like remaining 3 years, he had lost the locker room because it just got worse and the losing kept happening. and he couldn't find ways to get things back on track. And more importantly, just like with Eberflus, he couldn't get out of his own way. He thought he was the smartest man in the room, and he never ever wanted to essentially change. And the more I keep looking back, it feels like even though how good 2018 was good, it was also a year of okay, maybe coming off that year, a lot of people got a little bit too cocky because remember he won the coach of the year and people and again, hindsight is 2020 and maybe I think Nagy he got too cocky. He thought he had arrived. He thought he was the head coach now. Because he won all this and things were going to get better. Well, things didn't get worse, and he never could rebound. And because he was a first-time head coach, you know, he never could rally the locker room and get the locker room under control because mostly he wasn't doing his job and taking accountability for his fuck ups. And then I think we've talked enough about Matt Eberflus in the last few days, especially me with how I feel about Matt Eberflus. You already saw my whole firing video. You guys even saw my athletic video. If you haven't seen my athletic breakdown video of the Eberflus fallout, that goes to show you, like, alone the hell is going. This dude was never qualified. He never was a good leader of men, and stuff like that. So the fact that the Bears want to hire a good leader of men, or a coach that is a good leader of men, it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. The last four coaching hires have turned out into disarray, making your organization a fucking laughing stock. And because you have a coach that is not that is going that and because the last four coaches realistically and it's I don't remember John Fox enough, so I'll say like the three incompetent coaches, which are Nagy, Trestman, and Eberflus. They were some of the few coaches, and there were coaches in the history where they can do no wrong. They won't take accountability, and if they do say that stuff, it feels hollow. It doesn't feel sincere. The Bears see we got to stop hiring guys that are not willing to do the right thing, and that's take accountability for their mess ups. And at the same time, is leading by example. And also at the same time, we need a head coach that understands situational game management. That's what they mean by they want to hire a head leader of men. Somebody that is willing to go out of his way. If a player fucks up, he won't, obviously, he'll be accountable for saying, no, I didn't see that, but I'm going to go address that now. You saw what Dan Campbell did just, I think, yesterday. Jahmyr Gibbs ended up taking like some sort of photo, and it's got like basically the Lions run play in the background, and they're playing the Packers on Thursday night. And a reporter brings this up to Dan Campbell and is like, wait, what? And the reporter's like, yeah, this is what Jahmyr Gibbs did. And basically, Dan Campbell's just like, huh, really? I didn't know about that. Yeah, that's not good. I'm gonna have to go take care of that. He literally said that in the press conference. Like as if he's like was talking to another coaching and a coaching member or coaching a coach on the staff, and they told him what Jahmyr Gibbs did, and he's like, "Huh, I think I need to go address that." And he literally was pondering that, and he's just like, "Yeah, I need to go address that." And he literally walked off the podium. That's the type of head coach we need. Somebody that sees a player do a mess up, do a fuck up, and basically go out there and he ain't gonna lambaste the player out in the public. He's just gonna be like, "Okay, yeah, thanks for letting me know if I didn't see it. I'm gonna go handle this right now. Thank you for letting me know." That's the type of coach we need. I don't know if the punishment Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna get, but I think it's gonna be a pretty bad one because you literally had your run plays posted for the Packers to see. That's the type of head coach we need. That's the type of head coach we need. So when that Tyreek Stevenson incident in Washington did come up, it isn't, oh, well, we talked and, he already gave his apology to the team and he already gave his apology. No, you need to come out on the media and say, oh, no, I didn't see that. and I'm going to make sure I address that with him this afternoon. This afternoon, and guess what? When that happens, and that'll be an in-house thing. Obviously, based on how the game goes this week, you guys will probably get any ideas and sees. But I'm gonna go handle this. And I'm gonna go talk with him about that. That's the type of head coach that we need, and somebody that will check a player and say, "You can't do this. You can't do this. No, you can't." And I also hope this new coach, because the last few years we had this leadership council, right? I hope this new coach does away with this leadership council and realistically has no council. I understand it's always good to have some captains on the team and some voices. That's fine. It should realistically be four captains, two offensive, two defensive, not like six or seven. And then realistically, the coach is the one that he's the overseeing member. And I hope, like, no, there's going to be no counsel here amongst the players. Like, I would hope, like, whoever the new head coach comes in is like, look, the last guy had some sort of counsel amongst you guys. That's not happening over here. This is going to be a one-man run show. I'm going to be everything. I'm going to be the decision maker here. Got it? We need a head coach that will make these players know they are not better than the team. This players' locker room, nuh-uh. There ain't no players' locker room if you guys are a bunch of losers. That's what we even had with Nagy. Players-led locker room. Guess what happened? Bunch of losers. See, if I was that coach, I'd be like, yeah, this player-led locker room shit, where you guys have this council of 8, that shit's being done away with. I hate to be bearer of bad news, I hate to be rude, but you guys have been losers up in this building. So, for all intents and purposes, no players will be fucking leading this team in some sort of leadership council. If there's something you want to bring to my attention, yeah, let me know. And then guess what? I'll talk amongst it with the coaching staff, and then we'll see what we'll do. That's how it needs to be ran. And these players also need to be checked and saying, you're not bigger than the team. Plain and simple. That's the type of head coach they need up in the building. A head coach which is a leader of men. Somebody that was, in the times of need, in the times of darkness, you suffer a bad loss. They're able to rebound and not make a mockery of themselves and understand the situation and be like, no, that's on me. I lost this game for this team. Our players did well enough to win this game. I'm the one that lost this. The one that's willing to shoulder a lot of the blame. You look at guys like Dan Campbell, Sean McDermott, DeMeco Ryans, recently Dan Quinn. Yeah, they may not have most of them may not have offensive backgrounds. If not all of them don't have offensive backgrounds, really, realistically. They're just hard, gritty coaches, or they're mostly defensive minded head coaches. And I know Bear fans are like, no, we need to hire an offensive minded coach. I would like to hire an offensive minded coach, but I can honestly understand why they want an offensive minded head coach, why they might just want a leader of men. Because they see what's going on with Dan Campbell, Dan Quinn, Sean McDermott, and DeMeco Ryans. They don't have an offensive mindset background. And guess what? They're still winning games. Because you want to know why? They're good head coaches that set the precedent, and they're a good leader of men. They set the example for the coaches on their staff to then follow. If my offensive coordinator is effing up, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to check him, and I'm going to go to his office. I'm about to be like, hey, man, stop with the BS. Call the right stuff and adjust, please. Otherwise, I'll get somebody else in here to come do your job. That's what I mean by right head coach. It isn't just the player stuff. It's them even checking their own coaching staff and making it known. You don't get the job done, I'll just fire you and I'll go get somebody else. We need that type of head coach. Now, obviously, I would like a coach that has those qualities with an offensive minded background. And obviously that's where Thomas Brown comes in. But regardless, the fact that there's some Bear fans who are complaining like, well, it should be offensive mind. Well, guess what? We've done that before where, well, it's just been offensive minded head coach, and he didn't know to be able to be a head coach. He was trying to be an offensive coordinator mostly, but he couldn't manage the duties of doing both and being a head coach and an offensive coordinator. And the Bears want to get somebody that just oversees everything and basically is like, no, I'm going to let my coordinators do what they need to do. I'm going to oversee everything. If I have to step in and get in the way, I'll do that. But I need to be focused on the outcome of the game, and I need to ask the questions and be on different channels and manage this game. That's what they need. I understand the importance of getting an offensive-minded head coach, but you see those other situations I just talked about. Jared Goff. Dan Campbell isn't no really good-minded head coach. Yes, Jared Goff is led by probably one of the, if right now, the best offensive play caller in the game in terms of an offensive coordinator perspective in Ben Johnson, but he's got Jared Goff. The same Jared Goff that was run out of town by Sean McVay. They're doing quite nicely over there, and they don't got an offensive-minded head coach over there in Detroit. Look at what Dan Quinn's doing over there with the Washington Commanders. He's not no offensive-minded head coach, but their offense is still solid. They seem just fine. They look like they might make the playoffs. Sean McDermott was no freaking problem. Even when you go back to Josh Allen's early years, if you want to bring up, well, Josh Allen's elite. Sean McDermott had no fucking problems. Guess what? Josh Allen developed under Sean McDermott. Yes, it was because of Brian Dabble, but you get my point. He still developed under a defensive-minded head coach. And guess what? It doesn't matter what offensive coordinator there is probably the Bills get. Josh Allen will still be good. DeMeco Ryans, he's a defensive-minded head coach, and he had a rookie quarterback, and CJ Stroud played good. Yeah, he's not playing as good as he is this year, but you get my point. He's not an offensive-minded coach, but guess what? The Texans have been a solid team, and they've turned it around instantly. Because guess what? DeMeco Ryans is a good leader of men. Sean McDermott is a good leader of men. Dan Quinn is a good leader of men. You heard Dan Quinn after the Hail Mary from Hell game? He said, I would have not given up those 13 yards, so I'm just happy that they did give us that because they gave us a good chance to win that game. That's situational awareness. A good leader of men knows that. Dan Campbell's a good leader of men. We mocked that guy for saying we're going to bite kneecaps and everything. Guess what? The biting the kneecaps is working because he inspires his players, because he's a good leader of men. They believe in him. And that's ultimately the thing about good leaders of men and head coaches. When you get your players to buy in and believe in you, that's when that's when that's when you got it good. Plain and simple. And like I said, those are people that are not only willing to hold themselves accountable, but their coaching staff accountable, and even their players accountable. We had a good if we had a good leader of men in the building, they would be checking Getsy and Waldron for their god-awful play calls. It isn't defending their play calling and standing by their play call. And not taking 24 hours later to watch the tape and see, oh, they've made a fuck up here. No, in that instant, you need to be like, no, I did not like that play call. I addressed it in the locker room with so and so, and I told them, don't do that again. Otherwise, we're gonna have another conversation. That's what I would do if I was a head coach. I don't care if I'm belittling my coach. I'm telling them, do not you ever call that play again. Because if I catch you playing that play call again, I'll go up to the boss's office and I'll see maybe we might need to think about making a replacement. I think that's another thing people, Bear fans don't think. Head coach got to also check their coordinators, their coaches, and say, no, this is not how we do things here. If you ain't going to step up and do your job correctly, then I'll get somebody else to go in here and do it better. Eberflus never wanted to check Getsy and Waldron because he was best friends with them. Sorry, I'm not here to be best friends. We're here to do a job. You may not like what I have to say. Don't care. And then let's get to the whole fact of, and also to like, other names with the coaching, Mike Vrabel. I know some people are like, we don't need Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel, honestly, is probably in my top 5 list as candidates that I would say interview, and honestly, maybe even higher. And people are going to point out, well, look at his record with Arthur Smith after he left. Well, one, you had a mediocre ass quarterback, not the quarterback of the level. You really think Ryan Tannehill is better than Caleb Williams? And on top of it, the Titans GM just bungled everything. The Titans GM literally did trade AJ Brown away to the fucking Philadelphia Eagles for basically pennies. Like, what are we doing there? And then obviously, yes, he didn't get any offensive coordinator positions right after then, but like he had fucking Ryan Tannehill as his fucking quarterback. Like, what are we doing here? Mike Vrabel is honestly in my top 5. I would love if Mike Vrabel were the team of the Bears because he's the type of coach that the Bears do actually fucking need. He'd be that gritty coach that come in here and be like, I ain't tolerating nothing in here. Plain and simple. And he's the type of coach that would hold people accountable. Regardless, going on to the Kevin Warren leading the search. Now, Bear fans are upset and they're just like, oh, brother, Bears are bearing again. They're letting the team president, frickin' who can't do the stadium deal correctly, lead the search for the Bears, not Ryan Poles. Now, here's my question to those Bear fans that feel like that. Why would you be questioning this and why would you be worried? Look at your fucking incompetent ass GM. He's the mother effer that decided, I want to hire Poles, even though basically the team told him, look, man, these are our favorite candidates, but if you want to go outside the circle because you may have your own candidates, you can go freely continue your search and go hire who you want. You don't have to do that. And dumb dick Ryan Poles is like, sorry guys, it's all right. I got nothing. I'm gonna go with this guy. Let me bring in these guys first, and I'll see what I like about them. And this dude fell in love with Matt Eberflus for whatever reason, and then he hired him immediately, mind you, after he was hired. But there were reports that came out saying like, oh no, the McCaskies didn't really force Eberflus on Poles. Poles actually had his choice to go outside and interview more candidates of his liking and not having to go with the three team people, the three led individuals. But he chose Matt Eberflus after interviewing with him one time. Fell in love, fell infatuated. That's my guy. And then after year 2 of Eberflus, Kevin Warren wanted him gone. He wanted Eberflus gone, saying, we need to make an upgrade. And Ryan Poles convinced Kevin Warren, no, 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 come on, Kevin. He hasn't had a fair shot. That first year, we basically tanked. And that second year, that shit's not on him. It's on our fucking quarterback. It's on Justin. He was the problem. And with this new draft pick, we're going to go get this new guy, and he's going to be the savior of everything. And he convinced Kevin Warren to keep Eberflus. So Kevin Warren's like, all right, okay, your call. And then you see what happened. Hired an incompetent offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron, and then had all many blunders along with the last few blunders to go with it. And next thing you know, Eberflus is fired. And he's the first head coach that the Bears had to fire mid-season because of his terrible record. I'm not even going to go into the lost record. I've already said it enough. But that record Eberflus has as head coach of the Bears, that's the exact same record Ryan Poles has as general manager of the Chicago Bears. That 14-32 overall record, 2-12 in the 2-13 in the division. Mind you, this is a GM that said in his opening press conference, his goal when it comes to running the Bears is to take the North and never give it back. Ryan Poles' operation has been giving up the North and always not wanting to take it. It's always been the bottom feeders. If there's anything Ryan Poles was right about not taking the North and never giving it back, it's about being the fucking dungeon of the NFC North and never giving it up. That's realistically what Ryan Poles is doing right now. So when you factor all of that, and then you were even in on this extensive search for the new offensive coordinator after Luke Getsy was fired, where does that lead you? Why, as a team president, am I going to trust you after you told me this guy is right for the job? He can be able to do it. We just got to fix the quarterback problem, and the quarterback will be able to overcome any negative that he may have. So Bear fans are actually upset of like, why is Kevin Warren leading the search? Ryan Poles is the football guy. He needs to be leading the search. Guess what, dumb dicks? Yes, I would be upset if Ted Phillips was the guy leading the charge. It's Kevin Warren, a new guy in here. He does know some football, even though he's more of a businessman. He knows some football. He was in organizations, winning ones. Only dumb comment he's fucking said is anything in regards to the stadium stuff, and then the fact that he compared Dick Vermeil to fucking Matt Eberflus to Dick Vermeil in his prime. That's the only dumb stuff Kevin Warren has said. But it makes sense that Kevin Warren is leading the search in this, and Ryan Poles is the one that is the nice little helper assistant in this. Because how can me as a team president trust you after you convinced me to keep this deadbeat head coach that guess what? We had to fire essentially weeks into the season. Because the locker room is lost and everything you said in your January press conference as to why you brought him back was a complete lie. Now, why do I need to trust you to hire the next guy? You can't even build your roster correctly. So no, I'm going to be the one to take charge in this. You're definitely going to help, but I'm going to be the one leading the search for this new head coach. And that's honestly what the team president should be doing. The team president is a higher title than the GM, and he should be leading the search for the next head coach. Especially if you don't feel confident in your GM. Now you're asking, then why doesn't he just fire Ryan Poles straight up? I don't know. I would have fired Ryan Poles if my gut is telling me I can't trust this guy to get the hire right. But the fact that it's Kevin Warren that's leading the search, it's pretty eye-opening that he's going to be the one leading the search, not Ryan Poles. And this only further tells me that Ryan Poles is on very, and I mean very thin ice with Kevin Warren. I wouldn't blame Kevin Warren if internally he is very upset with Ryan Poles because, again, like I made the mention, Ryan Poles convinced him, let's bring back Eberflus for another year. He really hasn't gotten a raw deal. And Kevin Warren was like, why do we need to keep this guy? I've seen enough of him. But Poles convinced him. And I bet you Kevin Warren, after he was fired, was very upset with Ryan Poles and must have said, look, dude, you told me this was the guy. And guess what? We fired him right now. You better hope the next guy coming here starts winning. Otherwise, you're gone. Like, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall after they basically told Matt he was fired. And I would love to have been a fly on the wall to see what Kevin told Ryan and said, Ryan, man, look, man, you convinced me that he was that. He was the guy, and we just fired him. For your sake, man, I hope you really get this next hire right, because I'm not trying to put my job in jeopardy because of your incompetence. And I feel like that's what is happening. I feel like the next F up that Ryan Poles makes, that's going to cost him his job. Because let's remember, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Warren did not choose Ryan Poles. The McCaskey family, alongside Bill Polian, chose Ryan Poles. This is not Kevin Warren's GM. And again, if the Bears end up having a bad year next year, Ryan Poles can be gone. He can be fired. And honestly, that's the thing where it's like, if it all blows up in your face next year, you don't just fire Kevin or Ryan Poles. You fire the head coach too, and you start all over again. But remember, but see, the feet will fall at the face of Ryan Poles for not addressing the offensive line, not addressing the trenches, and not getting rid of Eberflus before drafting Caleb Williams. And if that all happens, we suck again, and Ryan Poles gets fired alongside the new head coach because Kevin Warren's tired of being mediocre. You have nobody else to blame but Ryan Poles for this whole thing. And it'll just go back to the thing of he should have never kept Eberflus. That's what I'm going to continue to say, and that's what I'll say going into next year. Next year is going to be a very big year for the Bears. They have to be a playoff team. They have to, because if they're not, I'm getting rid of the GM. I'm getting rid of the new head coach in 1 year. Yes, I said it, and it's because, and that's strictly because I want to start the process of resetting everything. Now, I don't know how Caleb will play in next year, but we'll see. We'll see. Plain and simple. We'll see. But remember, like a year or two ago, Ryan Poles talked about how he's not going to go back and look back at history. Well, his dumbass, because he didn't go back and look back at what history was, it may end up costing him his job. The Bears need to hire people that understand the history of the Bears and what they have done wrong. They need to stop hiring people that don't want to see the past. And I'm not talking about them looking at the good past. They need to look at the bad past and not brush it aside like it doesn't mean shit. Look at the bad past. Look at what the previous people did. Ask the questions in the building. Hey, what went wrong here? Have somebody tell you, like, this is what went wrong here. In my opinion, this is how I probably would have handled it. Plain and simple. Plain and freaking simple. So, Ryan Poles became stubborn. He didn't want to acknowledge the past. And guess what? Rightfully so, he's going to pay for that past. So, regardless, that's it. I'm going to get out of here, guys. That's all I got to say. So, basically that's it. But anyways, we're going to get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna catch you guys next video. Again, I'm gonna be making a Ryan Poles strictly only video with my Uncle Daryl at some point. Gonna have to come together and see what we need to do and things like that and blah 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 blah. And we'll probably bring this up too. So, anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Catch you guys next video. Leave that like, hit that subscribe button if you want to get more Chicago Bears content or any other NFL content that I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day, night, or return this video. Peace.